everybody, this is Ginger and this is Ginger's Chat Show. And yes, I look a little bit raggedy. It's 85 degrees here and it's sunny. We're supposed to have some pretty good winds. We need some serious air conditioning, natural air conditioning in here. I have the window open. The blinds down, so you're going to hear some sounds. Hey Nancy! Hope you got some sleep last night. I didn't get much. The cats were going bonkers because our neighbors over here were setting off M80 firecrackers, M100 firecrackers. So it was pretty noisy. So, they kept trying to run to me for a little bit of comfort. And I can't say I blame them. So anyway, it's 85 degrees here, and it's very, very warm, and it says it's going to break some records here. There have been a number of fires, half the fires here. They had a fire up in, what do they say? Not that far from here. It was up off of near, what's the name of the town? Near Purdy, which is on the other side. Well, that's good. At least the storms are short-lived. Here they put an ordinance here, which they crafted last year, because it got so bad because fireworks were going on like 2 times for 2 straight weeks just before the actual 4th of July, and people were a little tired of it because there are a number of veterans here who experienced PTSD, war veterans, and they're trying to make things easier on them. So the only time they could set off the fireworks was on 4th of July. They cannot do it the day before, and they cannot do it the day after. They have to do it on the day of, and they have to stop by 10 o'clock at night, which happened. They said if you don't, you'll find your fireworks confiscated and be a number of other things going on. Ooh, nice breeze. Need more breeze. Try to get more of a breeze in here. So anyway, that's what's going on. When I can. I've been watching some of the Midas Touch videos and thinking what's going on. They're keeping us appraised of all the legal cases that are against he who shall not be named. This guy should not be allowed to run at all, period. He's already been arrested twice. He's been indicted and he's been arrested twice. So he should not be allowed to run for president ever. Okay? Because I thought that there was a federal, if you have a federal conviction, felony conviction, that you're not allowed to run for office. So, anyway, he seemed to dig a very deep hole for himself. And I don't think he realizes he's doing it, or doesn't care that he's doing it. But when he's caught, he sits there and he lies and everything else. They're not going to believe him, okay? He did a rally over the weekend, and he claimed there were 500,000 people there at his rally when there were really like 500. The Secret Service estimated about 5,500 that were there. But I would say 500 from the way the pictures look. Um, More and more people are switching to the Democratic Party and they're leaving the Republican Party. Uh, those that are the true straight GOP that don't do all this other crap that the mega megas are doing, um, can't sorry can't regain the control of the party. They should sorry 1 minute. They should not let them take control in the first place. Um, Anyway, a lot of them are leaving, and they said they're not voting Republican again. Many of the independent voters, uh, they vote either Democratic or Republican. Many of them are voting Democratic because they don't like this. They don't like what they're seeing with the Republican Party at all. Uh, Also, there's more calls for gun control. Over the weekend, there were a lot of shootings that happened and you get these nuts out there, and they should have their guns taken away from them in the first place, and it wouldn't be happening. We already had a murder happen over here in Spanaway. What was it, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Happened yesterday, just before the fireworks went off, I guess, or after the fireworks went off. So somebody got done in. So, but they're investigating that, the Pierce County Sheriff's Department. So you have all these things going, and people think they're spoiling things for other people when they want to enjoy the holiday. And I'm getting to the point where I'm really sick and tired of that. I really am. And of course, you know, there's real nasty storms whipping through. There's fires. There's fires over in Mason County, Washington State, over eastern Washington. That's happening. And they have a lot of people evacuated because of it. We'll take all the pets and animals out of there. And there are some nasty storms, as you said, Nancy. Mother Nature's pissed. She really is. Because also over the weekend down in, where was it? Somewhere in Mexico, there's another volcano that decided to burp ash and stuff. And so they're watching that, because that one may be a major one too. And of course, there are house fires. There was one house fire, I think in Iowa. The house was hit by lightning. And needless to say, the house caught on fire and it's destroyed by the fire. They were able to get the pets and family out, but they got burned out from that. Now, my biggest pet peeve right now is the insurance companies. And they said, well, we're not going to insure people because they're in natural disaster zone and everything else. And I go, well, you know what, insurance companies, if you're not going to sit there and provide a public service to people to help them rebuild, then you have no business being in business. Natural disasters could occur anywhere at any time. There's no specific area anymore. You have like brush fires in California, you have earthquakes in California, you have real nasty windstorms that happen in California, all along the West Coast. That happens a lot. And the insurance companies up here, they require to have wind and earthquake coverage and flood coverage here. And you have other insurance companies in the south that sit there and will not cover people because they're in a tornado prone area. Well, I'm sorry, they're going to have to, insurance companies are going to have to get used to it. And also they need to stop price gouging and be more realistic on their policy prices. Sure, it costs to rebuild things, but you can replace an item, but you replace a building, but you can't replace the person. So these insurance companies need to have their heads smacked by a 2x4, literally, and say, stop it. Stop discriminating against those that live in Midwest, South, hurricane-prone areas, natural disaster-prone areas, and just live with it. Well, if they don't want to pay out, then they need to be forced to pay out. And then they either said, okay, if you're not going to pay it out, then you have no business doing business in the state. And if insurance companies bring the money in but they don't pay it out, then they should be investigated for fraud and for embezzlement. And that's what they should be investigated for. I'm sick and tired of the insurance companies doing this. I really am. As I said before, they have no business being in business if they're not going to help and provide a public service. Okay? Well, like, for example, up here when we had the 2001 earthquake. Okay? One insurance company wasn't going to pay out because of all the earthquake damage. And our insurance commissioner came back hard on that insurance company and said, you know what? You pay out now. If you don't, then we'll force you to pay it out, and we will force you to shut down and not do business here again in Washington State. We don't tolerate that kind of action. He did not play around with insurance companies. He nailed them. And they try to use this, oh, act you got excuse. Well, you can't do that anymore through state law. You can't use the act of God excuse anymore. They are required by the state to pay out. Okay? Yeah, well, that's why insurance companies need to be investigated, more heavily regulated. I really do. They need to be hit back so hard it's not funny. Because if they're not going to provide a public service, then, again, as I said 2 times before, then they have no business being in the insurance industry. Now, Farmers was created to, for example, Farmers Insurance Company. They're created to help farmers, but also to help other people. And that's what they did. They were established in 1920. And people paid their premiums, but they paid out the premiums. Okay? You just have a generation that's running the insurance companies now that are very, very greedy. And they need to be slapped back and slapped hard. Okay? So, that's my pet peeve with them. Okay? And they should not be allowed to drag out payment. They should be required, heavily required to repay out. People need to hit back on that. They need to get with their insurance commissioners in respective states and say, look, this needs to be fixed. Okay? The greed's got to stop. And the greed in general has to stop. Really does. If you're good at making something, selling something or making something and providing a public service for it, and you make reasonable, good money with it, be happy for that. But don't get greedy. If you have excess money and you don't really have a big need for it, then set up like a philanthropy type thing, company, and start doing philanthropy work and helping other communities. You know, I think the wealth needs to be shared. I really do. And also, I don't like certain billionaires, you know who he is, that doesn't pay his bills. Then that he should be nailed for that. Okay? You're required to pay your bills. I pay my bills. Okay? I pay my rent. And my landlord's very, very good. They're very well aware of those that are on fixed income, like Social Security. Social Security is paid out at a certain time frame. And they're very well aware of that. And they said, no, you won't get evicted because you're 2 days late. That's not going to happen. Because this is a senior living apartment. And so they don't do that. There is no, you don't have to give a 2 weeks notice that you're moving out, and you don't have to pay ahead on your apartment or anything else on your lease. Because things happen quickly here. You know, a tenant may die, and that's everything is, you know, taken care of. So, you know, and the regular apartment owners, they need to stop the greed there too. They need to be more realistic and say, okay, how much does this really cost? The true price, not pie in the sky price, the true price. So, anyway, now, I made some progress on my stores, Nancy. I'm doing some more changes on it and see if I could get some issues fixed with it. I'm learning the system. It just takes a while. It takes time to play with it and learn with it and do some changes on it. And so I'm getting some ideas on it. I can't use PayPal anymore. PayPal has been causing a lot of problems. I was set up for it, you know, business set up for it and everything else. Also, the next day they said, you can't use PayPal because you're in violation. I upgraded it, like in 12 hours. And the next day they kicked me out or won't let me use it. So I don't use PayPal. But I do honor other, you know, credit cards, debit cards, I do honor those. Shopify is working on better payment system where it's who you pick and everything else. And I'm going to check with Shopify itself and see who they can do to replace PayPal. I had some problems with them. I tried to get it fixed, and PayPal, like Facebook, has no way of you getting back and feeling the problem and fixing the problem. And I couldn't close out my account either with them because they wouldn't let me. Which to me, that's fraud on their end. And I told them that. I said, what you guys are doing is fraud. The person who holds the account has a right to deactivate it and close it out. You have no right to keep that person on the thing when you're not allowing them to use it. So which is it going to be? And so there have been a lot of complaints through the BBB, the Better Business Bureau about PayPal about this. And also they're sending the complaint to the State Attorney General's office about PayPal, what they're doing. And so, I'm got all my paperwork and everything else. I'm looking at filing a complaint against PayPal on this. Because many other attorney generals state they're not allowing you to close out the account. I go, that's right. They said I can't not allowed to use the account anymore, but the same token they won't let me close it out. It's basically they're trying to keep the client trapped there, and that is wrong. So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Let me check my calendar real quick here. Hold on 1 minute. Okay. Alright, I will see you on Friday, the same time, same station, and I will keep you guys posted and everything, and, I hope all is well. Be sure to insist, persist, push back, and share if all possible. I will be posting this on my YouTube channel. Another thing you might be aware of. Last Sunday, we had a solar flare hit Earth. It mainly hit the west coast of our planet. And so it caused them a lot of communication issues, internet issues, and everything else, because things weren't working because of the solar flare. So this happens once in a while. Yeah, you too. I am. The wind's blowing really good, and we're getting our natural air conditioning system off the sound and everything, which is really good. We really need it here. So, and I will talk to you guys later, okay? And I will post this on my YouTube channel too. Okay, love you guys. Bye-bye.